Let me put my handy dandy readers on and we'll read these questions and I'll give you my thoughts. As usual, this is the sounding board. Bombshell. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a PhD, I'm not even in a relationship, but I can give advice for other people, but I can never follow my own advice. So, with that being said, 4 questions, 2 from the guys, 2 from the girls, and not necessarily in that order. First one up, bombshell. Do you think technology has ruined romance? By that I mean, I went on a date the other night. The gentleman said, I want you to know I did a background check on you through the internet. I was thinking, really? And he goes, yeah, so congrats, you passed. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. And it was like Karen and Miles off of Married at First Sight USA. I think Karen has the upper hand to me because it ruined their relationship because she didn't think it was going to work out because she knew what he looked like and all of the things he was into before they even met, not getting the chance to know the real Miles. I felt like I was not given the real chance by getting to know the real me, only the superficial me, and it takes away the mystery of getting to know someone, right? Ooh, what a layered question you asked. Uh, Technology has not helped romance. I think it has hindered romance. I wouldn't say ruined. Um, there's some people I know that met on the internet that have been happily married for years now, but I would say that some people have been hurt. Maybe that's why they do the background check to make sure that they're not going to walk in and there's a spouse that's going to come and beat them up because they portrayed one thing on the internet like a single person and then in real life they were married. I would say Karen and Miles' betrayal. Karen and Miles got married at first sight. Karen saw his Instagram, didn't necessarily agree with everything he liked or the way his photos looked. And he was younger than her, and that was something she didn't want. But if you don't take that leap of faith, that risk, then yes, it does take the mystery out of getting to know the real person, and it may cheat that relationship if you don't open yourself up to that relationship. I think Karen and Miles on the TV show has been cheated in a lot of ways, not just in her preconceptions of what Miles liked, what Miles' age was, and how she kind of judged him for his age versus getting to know him. But I also think that in your case, where he told you up front that he did a background check and that you passed, so you got the date, that's a green light. The yellow light that concerns me is, let's put the shoe on the other foot. If you would have been the one that had the upper hand and he didn't have the upper hand, how would you feel? And if you're lucky enough to go out with this gentleman again, I would say, turn the tables. Don't be like accusing or coming off with accusations, but maybe be like, I just am curious to get your thoughts on this. What if I would have told you, I Googled you and congrats, you got the date? How would that make you feel? And there's a talking point because relationships are all about communication. You have to have that open line of communication. You have to listen to what they're saying. You have to comprehend it before you speak. And you have to work together in order to make it work. Dear Bombshell, I believe my girlfriend is cheating on me. What makes me confident in my feelings, lately she will say, oh, it's just mom. And if I'm like, oh, let me say hi while she's on the cell phone, she says it's so strange. The call must have dropped or she must have hung up. No big deal. And she'll shrug it off. That was the first instance. The next thing that happened was she received a goofy text message and gets this grin on her face. I'll say, who from? Oh, just an old friend from high school. I'm like, oh, tell me, and I can get to understand that goofy grin. She'll shrug it off and be like, just old memories. It would bore you. And quickly changes the subject. Before strike 3 happens, and I quit being the fool, what do you suggest? I wouldn't necessarily say you're being a fool if this is only two instances. Maybe it was her mom. Maybe that her mom was traveling in a car in a low-lying area and the call dropped before you could talk to her. Um, let's say that the old high school acquaintance was maybe someone she knew in a cheerleading band or something like that. Don't expect the worst. If you do, then you'll get that result. I would say you are not her fool, and I would say before strike three happens and you decided that there's no relationship, sit down and air your concerns in an open and honest communication. You don't want to accuse. You don't want to come off saying, hey, are you cheating on me? No. You want to be like, okay, here's what's happened in my other previous relationships. Set out examples, okay? And then lay the groundwork so she sees where you're going. And as soon as you do, just say, I'm concerned lately. Your behavior, and I'm not saying that, you're cheating or anything, just that your behaviorism has me concerned. That, you knew her mom and you wondered why you couldn't talk to her, and you were just concerned on that. And, again, your past has you curious about your present and you don't want it to be in your future. Of the cheating and the lying and the backstabbing. And the other thing I would say is, when we're in a relationship, I like to share things with you, and I hope you like to share things with me. You could do it in a way like this. Let's say you have a buddy of yours text you, and you get a goofy grin, and she says, well, what's that goofy grin over? And be like, oh, it's just an old friend. And yes, it's a trust issue. And yes, maybe you've had damaged trust in the past. But in order to have a good present and future, you have to understand the past. Not be a prisoner of your past, but understand your past and work together in order to make a present and a future. So use a calm voice when you talk. Sit down there and really, really listen to what each other is saying. And don't throw jabs with your verbals, and just be a situation that you can build upon a better relationship. Number 3, dear bombshell, I have had a bad past relationship. It's affected me now because I'm scared. And I think, what is the use in even trying? So my fears overcome my present and even my future. If I act on how I feel, he will be like the guy from my past. How do I act on my feelings and overcome my fears? Ooh, what a loaded question. On the very top, it says here that not only have you been in a bad past relationship, but the guy that you were interested in, you fear that you've damaged the want of the current relationship. Well, it's complicated. Relationships are complicated. They're never easy. There's never a handbook, a how-to guide that will actually lay out a plan for you to be like, okay, reference this section on how to get past the past and move into the future. The only one person who can do that is you. Your fears can, unfortunately, conquer your present and your future, but you have to be the one to be the bigger person. Be like, okay, they don't know the whole story, so I'm going to send this message, and I'm going to lay out the groundwork, my story, my truth, to them, so they don't hear it secondhand, they don't hear it thirdhand, they hear it from the horse and the mouth that the horse has. Rather than being scareful or fearful of rejection, of, okay, this guy is the same guy from this other guy, and he's going to pay the price with his relationship with me. Don't make him pay that price. I would say, if you're scareful and fearful of trusting and being in love, maybe take a seat on the sidelines for right now. Just see what happens. And pray about it. Give it to God. And if it's meant to be, it will find its way. Oh, that's a hard ball to swallow. For me even. Because, let's just go there. I can remember in my past, one of my relationships, I was on the phone with Mike, and it was that evening that we broke up. I was crying my eyes out, and I even told him, give me some sort of hope that maybe somewhere down the line will work out. And he said, I'm going to use a line that you told me your great grandmother once told you when you were about 6 or 7. That if it's meant to be, then it will find its way back to you. If you set a butterfly free and it comes back, it's meant to be. Well, I never really forgot that phrase, but yet, I don't know. At that time, it was comforting. Notice I said at that time. But, I will say to you, I'm always fearful of when I share some of my past, because how many, people will say, okay, I've been virtually married once, not but once, but twice to the same guy. Twice. We never met in person, but we had an 8.5-year relationship. You ought to see the look that you get, let alone if they're drinking something, they want to spit it out. Just saying. You have to be able to share everything about you in order to be open, honest, and communicative. And in order to move forward, you have to do all of that. So keep that in mind in your situation, and I wish you the best. Dear Bombshell. Oh, this is a good one. It kind of reminds me of Mr. Darcy. Bombshell. I have met the most maddening and infuriating woman I have ever been attracted to. I'm male after all, but she knows how to flip her hair the right way, yet say the most offhanded comebacks, and yet I'm attracted to this woman. Sometimes it's her, I'm not a 10, so you better move along and find someone who is attitude. And she just doesn't listen when I speak. Is there a way to get this woman to listen to what I have to say, let alone help her, make her see that I would like to be in a relationship with her? Advice, please. Woo! I love the loaded questions tonight. I would say the best thing you can do is have patience when she doesn't, have understanding when she doesn't, and be a listening sounding board to her. And if she baits you with something she says, don't be so quick to anger. Don't be so quick to jab back with something that you know is going to upset her, so she'll jab back at you. Yes, you can have that relationship like on Moonlighting, David Addison and Maddie Hayes, where they two had this relationship that was like, I don't know, cat and mouse. And it was the most, I loved Moonlighting. What can I say? But you know what? Those kind of relationships last the longest. And I think that if you can find little things that, like quirks that you know, like the little slightest thing, even if you go and get a thanking of you card and write a corny verse in there, and maybe it has a picture of, I don't know, corn. You write in there, how I'm just popping by to say hello. You know, something to cause a laugh. Something to get her guard down. Then you can talk to her and be like, look, I don't want to argue anymore. How about let's start a relationship? There, you got your foot in the door, and I helped you. Well, I wish you all luck. I thank you for the questions. I hope I helped you tonight and I didn't hinder you in any way. The most important thing I want you to take away from this, dear Bombshell, is a lot of things. Don't be controlled by technology. Don't be controlled by outside influences. Don't let your past control you. And don't let your fears control you. And don't let your self-doubt get in your way. May you believe in second chances. May you believe that, you know, some wrongs were misunderstandings and can be worked out. with listening, understanding, communicating, talking to that person, not about that person, not to friends, not to family, not to anyone else but that person, then it should go your way. And I wish you all the very best. Next up, we're going to do the book review, and I'll probably do a short little interjunction that I forgot something that I wanted to share on the first video that I didn't, so stay tuned.